Welcome to Stitch in Time. My name is Michael Lianos, and it's my mission to make sewing approachable to the hobbyist. In this video, we will go over the essentials to begin your new sewing hobby and the estimated costs that go with getting started. The first item I would recommend for starting your hobby is a sewing machine. This machine is a Singer Classic, and it goes for about $100. Sewing machines are excellent in making your larger projects go more smoothly and more quickly. Things to look for in case you might be buying the machine second-hand: I would make sure it has a pedal. The pedal will allow you to adjust the speed of the stitches. This plugs into the side of the machine. This plugs into the wall, giving both the machine and the pedal power. Also, things to look for if you buy second-hand is make sure it has a standard presser foot. Make sure it has a sewing machine needle that goes into your machine and allows you to make the stitches. I would highly recommend making sure it has a buttonhole attachment where you put the button here and it creates a buttonhole to the exact size of the button. This presser foot holds the button down while you stitch in between the holes, attaching the button to the fabric. Good part, game changer. This one confused me at first, but I was happy to find out that it was not just a brush, it is a seam ripper. If you make a mistake in your projects, a seam ripper will help you fix that mistake, and quickly. The second set of items I would recommend are starting with a meter stick. A meter stick is good for when you're tracing patterns and in the early stages of cutting fabric. A meter stick will be a great help. Along with the meter stick, I would make sure to have a tracing pencil, or I would have chalk. You could use either or both, whatever suits you, but tracing the patterns without a pencil or chalk would be difficult. A bonus item that you may not need but has been extremely helpful to me and I use in all my projects is a seam gauge. What this has is an adjustable piece in the middle. You may be able to see it's blue, and it goes up and down to allow you to hold a certain distance for a seam. It allows you to measure from this point to this point. An excellent tool. This meter stick is about $2 or so, the seam gauge about $2, and chalk pencils tend to be around $5. These are more inexpensive items to help you in your sewing projects. The third set of items that are essential for your projects are sewing pins. I would make sure to have these around to help hold the cloth together while you stitch. These are especially excellent when you're doing curved seams or more difficult seams. I would also make sure to have a sewing needle for hand stitching. It has a little eye that you can put the thread through and hand stitch. These needles are needed for certain patterns like men's collared shirts. In the collar and on the cuff, you will need to do some hand basting or hand stitching to fasten certain parts so that you can put a more decorative seam over it, but hand stitching is needed. And while we're hand stitching, I would also make sure to get a thimble. A thimble, a needle, pins tend to be quite inexpensive, maybe $1 each one. If you get a large pack of pins, they may be towards $10, but they are on the inexpensive range of what you need to get started. The fourth set of items I would recommend for your sewing projects are sewing shears. These shears here are just regular fabric scissors. They're about $10 or so. These are a must. These other two are bonuses. These are more precision shears. They help you when you're cutting thread They help you when you're cutting open buttonholes. These will be a game changer and really help you in your sewing. These are more towards $5 to $10, a little cheaper than the larger scissors. These are pinking shears. They make the little zigzag patterns that sometimes you see in sewing projects. These will help certain seams to not fray. They're not necessary, but I would recommend them. They're more $20 to $30 range, getting more expensive. The fifth set of items that I would recommend has to do with ironing. I would get an iron. Make sure when you're buying an iron that it has some steam ability in the tip. That is really excellent for when you're trying to do some precision ironing when you're sewing your projects. Ironing is really the difference between making a professional sewing project and making one look like it came from a high school class. Among essential items are a nice big table. This is a 6-foot table. It's foldable. I got it at Target, Walmart, I forget, about $50. I could fold it up, put it in the corner when I'm done. It's great for cutting out cloth. It's good for sewing. It's good for all of your projects. Along with the table, I would get a nice towel. A towel is important for your ironing game. You could actually use the towel and iron on this table, or you can iron on ironing board and other tools. These items are bonuses or extras. As I mentioned, you could iron on the table and it would be fine. And I mean that, it would be fine. I decided to go the extra mile in ironing because ironing does make a big difference in the quality of your products. I started with buying an ironing board, about $15, a sleeve ironing board for those smaller, hard to reach places in the sleeve. That's about $10 to $15. I got a tailor's ham, which helps you get some of these shoulder seams or some of the curved seams and helps you form the cloth to your body. I also splurged. I didn't buy the basic iron. I bought a couple levels higher. My iron is more towards the $80 range, and I think it was worth every penny. So if you want to do a basic iron, you can get by with your sewing projects. You can do a good job. I chose to level up on the iron this time. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this video helped you take the next steps towards your sewing hobby, and I hope to support you along the whole journey. Again, my name is Michael Llanos. This is Stitch in Time. It's my mission to make sewing approachable. If this helped you, make sure to subscribe and like.